Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Asshole podcast. I'm Danny Vega, joined by my lovely co-host, Sarah Levine. Sarah, how are you today?
I'm actually not doing great. I haven't slept a normal 8 hours in so long that I don't know if I physically can anymore.
Oh, no.
But like,
we're back to the sleep problem, Sarah.
Yeah.
I don't need this in my life. I have enough chaos. Well, I need to know you're sleeping, Sarah. Did you try the peanut butter trick? You eat the peanut butter before you go to bed?
I mean, it kind of helps. I've been going through peanut butter really fast. I also do have an Ambien prescription, but I'm afraid to take it. So do with that what you will.
Well, that's a whole can of worms. Guys, we're also extremely delighted to include the better half of Keith and the girl, I will say. Chemda is here, the girl. Thank you for being on the show, Chemda.
Hello. Can I tell you, I've heard of a peanut butter trick, but it's different. And I didn't expect the sleep trick. I expected something having to do with a dog. And I was like, is this where we're going with the podcast now? So happy to hear it's not what I thought it was. And I'm sorry that you can't sleep. That is the worst.
Thank you. It's all right. I'm used to it.
Peanut butter is very versatile. It can help you sleep. It can help you fuck. I mean, it's a great tool. I'm not saying you should use it that way. I'm just saying it's a tool. How you use it, that's on you.
Well, I was saying it was the worst for Danny. Poor Danny is worried about you not sleeping.
I know, right?
Are we considering his feelings enough? Because
how dare you, Sarah? How dare you have issues when you know my personal life is on fire right now?
Seriously,
yes, when I need more sleep anxiety, just pile it on.
So this is the Rebound app that I promised you folks, and we'll put a timestamp there. If you're one of these people who's in a happy, committed relationship, fuck off. You can skip all the Rebound info. But I thought this was really insightful stuff, and I know Chemda has a lot of insights, and I definitely want to talk about the fact that you and Keith used to date, and now you have a podcast together, and so that's super interesting.
I'm pretty sure my PR person told you never to mention Keith in my presence.
I'm so sorry. I always get confused. I forget. So these are some things I looked up in listicles, which kind of helped me understand the rebound and what was happening to me. And I'm not going to bury the lead here. Number one statistic that made me feel better is 90% of rebound relationships end within 3 months.
That's the good ones, because you're supposed to. And and I'm so sorry for focusing on Sarah's sleep when you're going through a rebound. You know what? Rebounding is the worst. I was wrong about the sleep thing. But I know all about rebounds. I'm afraid of myself after I break up because I know that my head is in such the wrong place. After my last long relationship, I took a year off because I know that my head is so fuzzy. I'm going to make all the wrong decisions. And part of that is, who I'm going to date. So I'm really glad I waited.
So, but you had gotten into a rebound before. So you had to earn, was that hard-earned wisdom for you? Or are you someone who's not like me and you heard advice from other people and took it?
No, I don't. Nobody takes advice. That's why
unless they're telling you what you want to hear, and you're never going to take that advice.
There's no advice. Everybody, no, that's not a thing. Nobody asked you, believe me. You just tell your own story and then people take whatever they want out of it. And rebounding is bad. You're in a vulnerable position. You, either eat too much or too little. You are talking to the wrong people. You're dropping the wrong hints that you're going to regret later. It's just the worst.
I am dropping a lot of hints. I went on a date on Sunday, which actually went well, if you can believe that. But I did catch myself more than once kind of being like, we were talking about movies, and I was like, we can watch these kinds of documentaries into the future. A lot of future promising stuff. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too much or anything, but I just caught myself doing it, and I was like, so... Anyway, just to dial into some of these listicle insights, and by the way, big props to the listicle writers out there. Experts say 3 to 4 month gap between the end of your relationship and a new one. So with my rebound, I think the most generous estimate is 1 month. So oopers there.
So you beat the odds. You did not become a statistic.
Yeah, I just said, oh, experts? How about no? How about you transfer emotions, anxiety, stress from the last relationship into this one? And I think a really way that manifested with me was a fear of trust and a tremendous fear of like, I'm very big on apologies and defensiveness. These are like huge trigger points for me now, even with my therapist, who sent me this psychopath sent me a Zoom password.
Why is that bad?
Instead of a Zoom link. Okay. So I had to copy and paste the text into the Zoom instead of just clicking a link.
God.
It added like a minute.
I'm so sorry for what you went through.
Oh my God.
This guy's a maniac.
Do people know how this show gets in their feed and the stress that comes along with that? Oh,
no, it's crazy. But anyway, so I call the therapist out and I go, hey, please send a link next time because, that was a nightmare. And he goes, oh, I'm pretty sure you can click that. And I was like, this defensive piece of shit. I'm going to find a new therapist. He needs to take ownership. And I was like, okay, clearly I'm projecting. This is not a big deal.
have you heard the phrase, if it's hysterical, it's historical?
No, I
What does
love
that mean?
It's like sometimes you react super big and the other side is like, really, what? But you're like, no, this is 100% on topic. And you're just like this big reaction because you're actually reacting to all the stuff in your history instead of this moment right here. So
I love
That's
that.
awesome. Yeah, that's really good.
also in a rebound, like you imagine the worst, like the longer your relationship is, the harder it is to break up, right? The more accumulation you have of bad stuff. And by the end of it, you just miss someone being nice to you because you guys lost all the like romantic niceties. That's part of the rebound too. You have to be careful of people just being like, wow, you're cool. It's like, oh my God, I am cool. Right? Remember I was cool?
Right.
Somebody thought I was cool.
They're like a constant source of validation for you and a constant sort of like, just also like mammal shit of like warmth and hugs and things.
Yeah.
You're kind of, I'm addicted to all that. Another way this kind of manifested for me in terms of my last relationship is a big aspect that I realized I hadn't really processed is that I came to view my last relationship in like 100% negative terms. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a coping mechanism, right? Because I knew it had to end.
Yeah.
And so it sort of got to a point where my brain was like, this relationship bad. And that was all I could see. And as the fog has kind of lifted, I've been able to see like, no, it wasn't all bad. There was a lot of good. It didn't work. I don't think it was good for either of us to maintain it. And also that helped me realize like, I viewed the relationship ending as 100% her fault. And in time I've started to be like, oh no, I definitely made a boo-boo here or there.
Just
I was
here and there, though.
No, yeah, and I was unable to see that before, and I hadn't processed that yet, which is yet another reason to not jump into a rebound.
That's actually so huge because it is so much easier, especially if somebody like really messes up, for you to be like, that's right, I'm an angel, this person's a devil, I'm the best. Like, I would date me 100%. Like, I'm never a bad person. I never say anything horrible. And, that's so much easier. It's just, I'm going to flawlessly move through the rest of my life. But looking at that, that's like, oh, am I the asshole? Where's my bell? Ring the bell.
Circle.
Where's my bell? I did it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, just I've had to kind of take ownership, and also like kind of the bigger picture. And I like that you take a year, Chemda. It scares me because I'm so alone and I want someone so bad. But I respect the shit out of it. I feel like I'm too weak for it right now because I think a lot of it too is realizing like I also did stay in the relationship for 5 years, and that was me back there, and I chose to enter in this relationship, and I made all those choices that led to a relationship that ultimately failed, which isn't a way I like to put it, but like there's lessons to be learned even in the positives of that relationship. Like, why did it come to be, and why was I attracted to her, and yet it didn't work out? So these are all questions I've been forced to ask myself.
So then can't you take that into your rebound where, like, if you have awareness that this is a rebound situation, you're not going to future trip and you're not going to go 5 years into the future. You're going to be like, this is going to put a Band-Aid on this small boo-boo as I work on the rest of it, with a surgeon, and just take it for what it is. It's the rebound turns bad when you take it where it's not what it is, when you take it seriously, when it's not supposed to. You don't take it, it's getting serious and you're just letting it, where you just kind of like let life happen well, at least that's where I go wrong, is like, yeah, this could have just been a thing that I was feeling and I was, trying out or whatever, but I got to make sure I know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I didn't have the restraint, and I think that goes in kind of to this minimum of a 3 or 4 month gap, is that, I remember falling into the rebound and really right away doing uncharacteristic things. I mean, obviously I haven't fallen into a relationship for a while, but I remember right away I was telling her like, oh, I'm feeling really possessive about you. And that's not characteristic of me, just starting into a relationship. But I think that was the nature of the rebound and not taking that time to heal.
Isn't this interesting? Men are deciding to have feelings and they are having all of them.
So many. Wow. Yeah. I've been getting like so many I miss you texts in quarantine. I'm like, go talk to a therapist. Like, stop.
Here's some other signs of a rebound. This kind of is pretty obvious given everything, but you enter into a partnership based on weakness rather than strength.
Yeah.
And I think that goes into like having a strong, foundation of what you want and who you are and what you, and this is a big question I think that I still have to work on. It's a hard question, which is, what do you want ultimately out of a relationship?
Honestly, the only people who know the answer to that question that I've seen are 5-year-olds. Like, they know. I want food from you. I want playing from you. And like, I want it now. And then I'll go to sleep, maybe.
That sounds great. I wish I could be 5.
Same.
I had a great impulse to do this. I didn't do it, but you want to show off your new partner to your ex. I mean, you could argue that I did do this to an extent.
I think you're arguing that, so it's helpful.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm deleting myself. I clearly put it all over the podcast. And actually, I was going to say,
social media.
Over eager about advertising your new relationship, another rebound trait. Chemda, I actually blame you. I'm coming for Keith and the girl. You guys were the first media outlet to cover my rebounds before me.
It was such a juicy one. And you guys did it. You came into the camera when we were recording her, and last week spoke to you. You were quarantining to death. Like, if you could just leave you and your girlfriend in totally different rooms the entire time, you would have. It was quite the change for me. So imagine how I felt. Yeah, let's imagine how I felt about it.
Another rebound thing, it's an impulsive response to a tormented breakup. I think, given just that I was in a long relationship, there was a torment there. Instead of solving deeper issues, all these issues that we've been discussing, you're seeking a short-term temporary solution with this new person. Big problem is you may be increasingly wary of trusting the new partner. I had a lot of fights in the rebound about trust, and because it's ridiculous to expect 5 years of intimacy from someone after 1 month.
Yeah, but also you were friends, so the intimacy is halfway there in a different way. I think that's hard to navigate.
It's very hard to navigate, and ultimately, as you know, I did have to kind of say no contact because I've realized that my emotionality is just so high. And another kind of rebound thing that I wanted to get into is that you can get obsessive. The rebounder can kind of fall into an unhealthy obsession. And it said in one of these listicles here, people in an obsessed state can have a one-track mind where the other person is concerned. They lose touch with who they are as an individual. The loss of individuality creates a vicious circle of behavior where the obsessed person grows more and more dependent on the other person to bolster their sense of self. And I'm not trying to be too hard on myself, but I can definitely see how that was happening in certain ways. Just really, and also, it's quarantine, so it's like there's nothing to do, but like there was really no boundaries.
Are you telling me that Sarah can't sleep and all this is going on in your head?
I got peanut butter. Peanut butter, and I got a dog. All right.
Okay.
So yeah, and then another way that manifested is I was like waiting all day for her texts and all these things. It was really a toxic situation for her and I. So that's kind of my my rebound research.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Waiting for the texts. You're going from someone who, you're probably texting all day. Hey, I just ate the peanut butter. Hey, I just bought more peanut butter. Hey, I just did the laundry because I got peanut butter on my clothes. Like, you're giving this daily text of casualness to go to a friend. So she does want to hear from you, but also where's the line? You're used to a lot of different things.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think there are a lot of complicating factors with this one. And I'm trying, actually, a Keith and the Girl listener that I now regularly Facebook message with, Dorley, she's a gem. She's telling me, hey, don't be so hard on yourself about the rebound. So I'm trying to go a little easy, but because there were a lot of factors, the friendship, the quarantines. I mean, the odds were stacked against me, people.
Okay. Are you guys still friends?
I hope we will be. When I said the 30-day no contact, I said, I'm feeling very emotional. Things are getting very complicated. We'll talk in 30 days. I want to make sure, and I wanted to be clear too, because I didn't kind of want to just ghost her and not text. I wanted to be like, look, I need to consciously create space here.
What a hero.
Because I thought that if I just started not texting her or not communicating with her, that would be more hurtful and that could hurt our friendship.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So, Chemda, AITA for that. Did I handle that right?
I think you did. I think you're stopping a train before it, takes some casualties with you. It seems like it,
Yeah.
Are you the asshole in general? Sure. So I can't really trust what you're saying. And it's just your side. No, I don't know. You're trying to work it out. You did just come out of a long-term relationship. You sound like you're being as honest as you can about what you want and need and what you can give. And I don't know what there is else.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm going to play that clip for my therapist.
So this is for the rebound chick.
Yeah, right. So here's a final kind of button on this. So in our last episode, I told the story of I went on a date and I went to this girl's house and I said her house smelled like smoke, which she found judgmental, and I had to say sorry. And after I told you the story, Sarah, I then said that she had said that it, quote, ruined her Saturday.
Damn.
And you said, Sarah, you kind of roasted her and you're like, that's ridiculous. Why would it ruin her whole day? And I was being honest.
She has to know.
She has to know, right, that her house smells like smoke. Sure. But here's the kicker. Okay, get ready for this. She never said it ruined her Saturday.
Who?
And I wasn't consciously lying.
What?
I really wasn't. I was trying to be a truthful, good boy. But and this is kind of a thing that I'm still processing my last relationship, because that was something that my ex from Colorado, of course, used to say. Is she would kind of do this thing where it's like, you ruined the whole day. You ruined the whole weekend. When something bad would happen, like Sunday night. Like, this ruins the whole weekend.
Damn, wait, so you just like completely conflated this statement?
100%.
Oh my God, now I'm the asshole by proxy. So I went in on this girl about something she didn't even say. Oh God.
I know, I had this.
That's why caveat on my statement to your therapist. Okay, this is your side. But what did she actually say? What did you misconstrue?
I think I got confused because I had gotten the day wrong. So there was discussion of Saturday, but she just said, I felt pretty shitty when you said that. So she didn't say anything about it ruining her day. So I totally invented this quote. My defensive mind, I'm in therapy, invented the quote, and I own that.
That is journalistic malpractice. Wow.
Well, I'm going to go extra. Why did it ruin anything? Who cares if her place smells like burnt?
Well, not cigarette smoke.
Does she smoke indoors?
Yes.
Okay, this is basically what I said. I was like, well, if the shoe fits, you can't get mad.
Yeah, so what?
I don't know.
Well, she felt it was judgmental, guys, and she didn't. But did I need to say it really? Like, if your house smells like something, does it need to be called out? I think it's a little rude.
Yeah. I told you I thought it was rude. I just didn't think it was judgmental.
Yeah, I mean, it's casting a judgment. It smells like this. I judge it to be this, but I don't know. Maybe stop smoking indoors. But let's say you're not going to do that. Yeah, I guess you have to wait until the third date to say someone's house smells like smoke.
Those are the rules.
The thing is you didn't say your house smells like shit. You said your house, like if it smelled like pina coladas, would you be an asshole?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so, because there's no stigma around.
Well, let her know
coladas.
when it starts smelling like pina colada, and then you'll stay on brand.
Yeah, tell her to start drinking pina coladas in the house instead.
Pina coladas? This is a Margaritaville house. Get the fuck out.
Oh, there you go.
Well, do we have anything else we want to add? Chemda, do you want to bring... Well, I mean, look, let's talk a little bit about the fact that... So you and Keith had a romantic relation, and then you broke up, but you maintained the podcast throughout. Is that correct?
Yes. An hour
that
after we broke up, we were live. Yeah.
Damn.
And it sucked. I mean, that was a big deal. We were also living with each other, and the podcast was in the house. So,
oh my God. Yeah, this should have been a TV show.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But like, it's like you said, we should have broken up, and we both said we should have broken up like at least 2 years before that. The weird thing is the podcast, because once a day, 5 days a week, we were making each other laugh because we had to like get entertaining. And I'd be like, oh yeah, maybe this isn't so bad. He'd be like, oh, this isn't so bad. And then like 24 hours would pass and it's like, oh my God, you're still here. And then we'd hit the live button and it's fun again. And I think that slowed us down from breaking up. But it was difficult to podcast together, but it's like we considered it our baby and you have to co-parent, and that's that. We were as adult as possible as you can be with, like, you know, still, I'm sure I wish you weren't here right this minute. Like, I could use a month without looking at your face. Like, after you break up, don't you want to just kind of like go do your thing? But we got through it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That truly, I have respect for just every aspect of that.
Me too. Don't try this at home. I am not recommending it. You know, it's like we got lucky and we really did stay out of each other's way as much as possible.
Now, let's just get to brass tacks here. Did the numbers go up when all the juice was happening?
Actually, no, because we had to wait a while before we told people, and we were nervous because a huge part of the podcast is about our life, and our life is us as a couple at the time. And so we were afraid that people were going to think, hey, like, well, this isn't going to be the same dynamic. It's not going to be the same thing. We're going to, you know, we're going to feel it. We don't like that. You know, I remember, and I don't want to compare, but Howard Stern broke up with his longtime wife after he made this movie about how, you know, this is the woman that like helped him and his career and was by his side and all this stuff. And now he's breaking up. And then soon after he's dating some young chick. And, you know, you involve yourself in these people's lives. So we were nervous that people were just going to take it poorly. And some people did, but they got over it real quick, because at the end of the day, nobody gives a shit about you and your relationship. They don't. Like, they're sad for people when they break up, but then new stuff happens and that's it.
Very true. That's the message I need to hear, you know, and I've got my peanut butter and I've got my little running song playlist, and I'm getting through it.
There you go.
People,
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed the Rebound stuff. We got a kind of an interesting ep here. We're going to do a second situation with a friend of mine, Mr. Jade Shames, and it's going to be related to gaming because he's a game maker. But first, AITA for being upset over my BF wanting to keep pics of his rebound fling on his social media. We were broken up for several months, and during some of that time, he had a few flings, but one of them was seemingly more important than the others. He'd posted some pictures of her on his social media account. I look at his account every once in a while just to see what he posts, but it's been bothering me for months because I'd always have to look at those pictures of her. It was like a constant reminder of her, like her energy was still around, like she was still occupying space in his life to some degree. So last night I told him I was bothered by it, and I asked him why he still keeps them there. He said something about liking how he looked in them, but there were some of just her. That's insane. So I asked him about the ones that he's not in, and he said that he liked keeping the memory. He said that she's not important to him and that she's not involved in his life anymore. I don't understand why he would want to keep pictures of her around if she's not important to him. Then he accused me of being jealous and told me I was being controlling. I don't understand how. I never told him he had to get rid of the pictures. All I did was tell him that it bothered me. He said I gave him an ultimatum to either leave them there and risk starting a fight about it, or to just put them away even though he didn't want to. Regardless, I didn't tell him he had to do anything. Admittedly, I'm bothered that he even cares so much about them. He says he's forgetful, so he likes to have pictures to keep the memories. Okay, sure.
God, he shouldn't have said that line. I was trying. Okay, go ahead.
Why do pictures of your exes need to be publicized, though? I'm your GF. Why wouldn't you want me to only be the one you're showcasing to the public? He said I was selfish for that. And hell yes, I am. I don't want to share the spotlight with your effing exes. And yes, it bothers me because IMO wanting to keep pics of your ex things means she is still occupying space in your heart. I want to be the only one. Why is that a bad thing? I understand that realistically some exes might be important to you and you're still having a small space for them in your heart, but you have to make it so obvious to the person you're currently pursuing a relationship with. As I said in the comments, he may as well have captioned the pictures with a hello world. please look at these public pictures of a fling I had while on a break from my GF because they're so important to me that I want everyone to know about it. It started something of an argument, and in the end, I just felt awful for saying anything and wished I'd kept my mouth shut. Was I the asshole for telling him I didn't like seeing the pictures there?
Oh, boy.
Ugh. Can we just decide that they both need to wait 5 years until they become grown-ups and then they date? This is rough because I believe both. I don't believe him, but I believe that, right? I believe that both sides exist. It does feel like you're trying to change history by changing my social media timeline. But on the other side, that's just what it is. But at the same time, he's calling her names pretty quickly. That's my problem.
I feel like she sounds a little nuts because she's like, I want to be the only one. Like, and it's like, okay, that's over the top. But like, the fact that he doesn't have a consistent answer is super questionable to me.
Yeah.
For me, I'm able to see his side only from the perspective of a different situation, which would be, for instance, someone is in a long-term relationship and they left the pictures up and, and then they're now in a new relationship and then the new relationship says, get rid of the old pictures. Say, no, that person was part of my life. They're part of my history. Totally fair. But in this perspective, considering these were flings during their breakup, I mean, of course that's going to bother her. And I don't really have any problem with her saying I want to be the only one because in a sense, the timeline is telling the story of this tumultuous relationship. I wouldn't want that out there.
Yeah, and like you can just archive the photos from your Instagram and you can still look at them.
Why do you need to look at them?
I don't know. But if he really likes how he looks in that picture, I'm getting kind of a sense that he's sort of showcasing this fling on his Instagram more than his actual girlfriend. And that's problematic.
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole concept of it is very problematic. I mean, I would be honestly more alarmed at the actual intent and underlying issue here rather than the posts themselves. Because what? Nobody gives a shit. Nobody's going back through all his posts. I'd be like, what are you trying to put out there here? What's going on? You think she's better looking than me? You want to show her off? You want to show people off that you're detached from me? I don't understand why you would do this.
But that's a lot of how are people looking at me? And I think we need to be careful of what our parents did, which was like there's chaos inside the house. And then, when people come over, the place is neat and we're all talking nice to each other and, it looks good. But no one wants to talk about the bullshit that happened. But also, this guy seems like the other chick is going to react if he takes it down. I hate going through people's social media to be like, he liked this and, he's tagging this or whatever. It's very difficult for me to care that much. However, he cares that much. And when she cares that much, it's a problem. So if we both didn't care, like, hey, that's just my timeline, I never touch it, it's just what happened, whatever, I don't care, you don't care. But he cares what's on his timeline. When she comes in with, hey, I care what's on your timeline also, he's like, oh, you're overreacting.
Right. Oh, she's controlling when she cares about his Instagram.
But he cares also.
Right.
Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it sounds like that other girl thinks that she's his girlfriend. And I think there's a question that somebody said, like, people go, hey, are you dating other people, blah, blah, blah. No, ask men, does anyone think that you're their boyfriend?
There we go. It's genius.
And I think this woman does.
Yeah, because on a very practical level, unless he is running this thing, there's really no reason for him to just go, oh, you know what, you're right, babe. You care, and nobody's liking those posts. Those posts are dead anyway, so
right. Like,
no problem.
Why would that
bothering
be the
you,
hill
and I
that
love
you
you.
would die on?
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a very good conspiracy theory that this other girl thinks they're still together.
I think so. A picture of her by herself.
A picture of her by herself. Thank you for bringing us back to that.
Oh, yeah. What the hell is that?
That's insane.
Yeah, that is nuts.
He's literally going, look at her. Look at her. She's mine.
Yeah.
Look at her.
She's on my timeline.
Yeah,
so
that's
weird. Nellie Spitzig writes, YTA, you're insecure and jealous, and that happens, and it's valid. You're allowed to feel that way, and it's good to bring it up. But you dismiss his feelings of liking his memories with this ex and wanting to keep them. That is such bullshit. I hate Reddit.
Yeah.
liking his memories with his ex. Yeah, keep your memories. I'm not asking you to go through the eternal sunshine machine. Keep your
like the
fucking
Men in Black.
memories.
Boop.
Yeah, keep your memories. Like your memories all you want, buddy. It's the public appearance of this. Pineapple 1347. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with having pictures of you and your ex on social media accounts. However, you're definitely not the asshole for approaching your significant other calmly to tell him how you feel. His reaction, was shitty, which is why I'm saying not the asshole instead of no assholes here. So they're taking qualms with how the boyfriend reacted, which I think is fair. He didn't really seem to hear her side at all.
Yeah, he jumped right on that. Like, you're choking me. It's like, no, I'm asking you a question.
Right.
Shillin the Villain writes, YTA here mildly. You weren't together at the time, and if the pictures bother you, stop looking at them. You come across as petty and jealous when stuff like this bothers you. It's not like he still talks to her.
We think
he does. We think he does.
Yeah, we think he does.
I mean, it's just such a no-brainer. You're with someone, you love them, they're bothered by this perception, like this appearance that you're putting out. It's like, why? Because you need your little memory screen cap the things and print them out. I don't know. Make a scrapbook of her, you little freak.
Scrapbook.
I don't like any of his attitude. I think this is a toxic relationship. She says we were broken up. I don't know what went down there, but I don't like this guy. I've got nothing good to say about him. I think we're all pretty aligned on this.
Yeah, I'm actually glad, because I was worried that I was going to sound like a straight up conspiracy theorist, trust issues person. But
Yeah.
I'm glad we all align on this.
AITA for being upset over my BF wanting to keep pics of his rebound fling on his social media. We all agree, not the asshole, and he is.
Yeah.
We welcome Jade Shames, game maker extraordinaire. This is a friend of mine, people. Hear me out. He has a Kickstarter for his newest game by his game company, Pillbox Games, called Mud. He told me, Danny, will you please help me promote your game? I said, Jade, I love your games. Jade, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Danny.
It's a true pleasure. Now, and Jade, here's another component of you is that I sometimes show up. Jade is my coworker, and I show up to work and I'm like, hey, everyone, I have all these personal problems.
So it's not just the podcast.
No, it's everywhere I go. And Jade, you've actually given me some good interpersonal advice. I like your model of people are a certain number of intimacy to you, like maybe a 10 is like a person you've met once, and then a 9 is like a distant acquaintance. So
10
you're
is like
guy.
the low end of the scale.
I forget how it works. Something like, Jade, how does it work?
I'm not sure which side of the numbers is what. I think it works out however you want to interpret it, though. I think it's your own personal journey there.
I love that.
The concept being, to kind of assess your intimacy with people and know how much to, because people can, but I can in particular be a burden, pouring out all my emotions. But anyway, I'm just trying to sell you guys on the fact that Jade is an awesome friend to me and someone who's put up with a lot of my drama. But today, we're talking about his game, Mud. So Jade, tell us about this game.
Whether you play a lot of games or not, I think this game is going to be great for you. A couple years ago, we had another game with the same group of people from Pillbox Games. It was really successful. It actually got nominated for an Indie Game of the Year award at South by Southwest, which was a wonderful experience. We lost by 12 votes, but I think that people loved it because whether you are in the board game community or not, and you just kind of like playing games because they're fun, it appeals to you because the rules are really simple to understand. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes to explain everything. And you can get going pretty easily and have a good time. And this is sort of key for me. You can drink a beer while playing the game and have a minor conversation on the side while playing the game, and it still works just as well. So that's kind of the reason that I wanted to make games like this in general, is because I wanted a game that you could, you didn't always have to talk about what's new with you, when you get together with friends. You could do something different. But Mud is the new game, and it's very much in line with that. This game, however, unlike Side Effects, which was about mental health issues, is about corruption in politics. And I know that sounds a little heavy, but really the gameplay is very light and fun. You get to feel like a corrupt politician backstabbing and making alliances without actually causing the world to explode like it is now.
There's really a lot of great design elements to the game. They use rats to do various things. And then there's also a component where you incur scandals when you kind of, hurt the other players. Then you are penalized by getting a scandal. And I love this about the game, Jade. Every scandal is based on a real political scandal. So it's fun.
Oh, that's fun.
Part of the uniqueness of the game is that you're sort of like playing and you're risking things by playing these like rat cards to gain more voters and hoard them for yourself. And yet every time you play a rat card, you got to draw a scandal card. And yeah, the scandals are like allusions to real life scandals, but they're also punishments in the game. So you're always having to hedge your bets. Do I go for the rat card and then risk whatever that scandal is going to say?
It's really a very well done, well crafted game. I personally looked at like all the cards and just gone over it. It's just like a real pleasure of a game. Super fun to play with friends. We played with some coworkers. Full disclosure, I did win one of the games and I did like that part the most.
Of course.
Definitely check out the game at bit.ly/AITA mud. bit.ly/AITA mud. It's a lot of fun and it's a unique gift you can give. It's a great thing maybe for a Christmas or a Hanukkah gift. Now, people, I didn't bring Jade on just to, tell you about his game because I wanted to bring him in as a game expert. He's an expert of game etiquette. Are you not, Jade?
I am an expert.
He is. And I have played games with Jade. And let me tell you something. I am fiercely competitive and he is not. And something about that makes me want to beat him even more.
That's amazing.
Plus, if I beat Jade at one of his own games, I get to say, I beat you at your own game. And that is one of my favorite things.
That's priceless. That's
priceless. That's priceless, people.
You can't beat it.
So here's a situation we're going to cover. AITA for leaving a cash poker game after one hand by you, SilverAd3839. A few weeks ago, my close friends all organized an online virtual poker game. Normally when we play poker, we do winner take all or maybe have a second place person. Those games take 4-ish hours. However, this time we decided to do a cash game. On the first hand of the game, I ended up with a full house. My friend went all in and I called. He also had a full house. I ended up winning with a higher pocket pair. After that hand, I had more than doubled my money and decided to cash out. I stayed for the remainder of the evening talking to people on the video chat and spectators, but I didn't play another hand. A couple of the guys gave me crap for quitting already, and one seemed legitimately angry that I'd backed out. However, the rest didn't seem to care one way or another. I got a message from the one guy later that if I wasn't going to play, I should have just not participated at all. I fully anticipated on playing for several hours, but I got lucky right away and cashed out to keep the winnings. AITA for not playing past the first hand.
So I have to preface this by saying that I'm extremely risk averse and don't gamble. But isn't that what they say, to quit while you're ahead?
They do say there is a concept here in the popular lore to quit while you're ahead. Personally, if I had done that gambling at various times, I would be a very rich man.
That's how they get you. And then a Windows thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think necessarily, I think really the questions here are sort of, because look, this happens to be a cash game where like you actually have something to win, but you always have something to win when you play a game because you can win the game. And so I think this is an interesting question on sort of what is playing games with your friends all about? Because I think an obvious answer is to have fun, and it's not very fun if someone just sits out the whole time.
That's actually it's a common misconception about games. It's in no way about having fun. It's about personal victory and humiliation for the loser.
That's certainly a part of my favorites, but I've gotten a lot of guff for that. I was at a party recently and we were playing this game. I'm sorry?
I've never heard anyone say the word guff.
You have to be a terrible person to incur guff, but it's something I get a lot. It sort of manifests as like anger and like sort of shock at that you would act in this way. Guff. You'll get it, Sarah.
Guff.
It comes with, you're not very assertive. I'm very assertive. Assertive people, we get a lot of guff. So I was playing this game. The premise of the game is that people have to guess kind of like, they have to guess like things written down on pieces of paper. So part of it's like Taboo and part of it's like, what's that game where you act things out, charades?
Oh, it's like Salad Bowl? You put all...
Salad Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, there's all these names for it. So anyway, there was this rule that it had to be the exact wording of the paper.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And the guy next to me wasn't doing the exact wording, and I like freaked out. And then he goes, "Fine, dude, I'll try to get the exact wording, but I don't want to sit next to you next time." And the whole party laughed.
Ooh. I mean, who came up with the exact wording rule? Was it you?
No, it was not me.
Okay, because I mean, that's a really harsh rule.
It is a harsh rule, but it showed me in that moment I felt like an asshole and looked bad, and it was in front of my ex, so that's probably yet another reason she dumped my ass. But anyways, I'm gonna cry. But the point is that if I'm going into a social setting, I have learned, even though it's not my first kind of move, to just try to have fun and play. And so this poker thing does seem kind of like a dick move. Like, you just played for profit, bro. It sucks.
I guess you're right, because the other players are his friends and not just a random casino dealer. Exactly.
There's an incentive for the other players for you to stay involved in the game. And so in that regard, it's both sportsmanlike and friendly to remain in the game and at least, give it a good try, a few more rounds before cashing out. Maybe it's not like an asshole thing, but I would say maybe it's a dick thing. Is there a dick option?
I think that a dick move is an a-hole move for our intents here. Now, Joe Prolific writes, YTA, in poker, this is known as a hit and run, and it's considered bad-mannered, poor sportsmanship. You got extremely lucky the very first hand of the game, and you took your friend's stack. In a friendly game, a non-casino environment, it's customary to continue to play and give action. I mean, to me, this is starting to approach a no-brainer. There's obviously you put some cash in because one of your friends can have a good night, right? Like maybe someone wins the whole pot or whatever. So they made $100. It's not a life-changing amount of money. Nobody really gives a shit, but it just kind of adds a little bit of spice. So to go out right away because you doubled your money, it's like, dog, what are you doing? We're here to have fun for hours.
Yeah,
it's not about
I feel
the money.
I feel that now.
If you did this at a casino with your friends, even then I might say the same thing. If I was going to go to the casino, this is my attitude at the casino, by the way. I go, all right, I'm going to get out $80, and my goal is to make this last as long as possible, so that we can have fun at the casino, bro. You're going to lose.
Come on, bro. Yeah.
Come on, bro. I'm just trying to bro out and smoke indoors. By the way, you can smoke indoors in a casino. That's a reference to the last episode. Username 52 writes, I think YTA, when you make plans with friends, it's because you want to play with friends. They go in thinking that X number of people are playing. If my friends all decided to go bowling or play pool, and once we got there, friends just said, go ahead and play, I'm just going to watch and not spend money. It's a lot more awkward and I wouldn't have wanted to go. Yeah, because you're robbing them of the fun.
Poker, there's cash on the line, and part of the fun is actually the winning of the cash. So I don't think we should discredit that element of the game, because poker without cash, I don't know if you've ever played poker without cash. It is the worst game in the world. There's just nothing fun about it at all. You need the cash. You need to gamble on this game, and you need to play several rounds too. Because that's another thing about games like poker, where there's a high amount of randomness in the game, is that the net good players, the strategic players, they don't reveal themselves until many hands are dealt already. So you'll do the same thing with rounds of something like backgammon, right? Where there are lots of dice rolls. You can't just play one game of backgammon and say, okay, I won, I'm the best backgammon player. You have to do an average of 7 games, and then usually skill will start showing itself at that time.
Yeah, I think that you make a great point here, which is that you literally can't play poker without some kind of cash, or at least a cash proxy of some kind. I mean, you could use Monopoly money and kind of get the game across. That just kind of shows yet again that this really isn't about the cash, because the cash is really just kind of a means of playing the game. So to leverage this and be up a little bit and then quit on your your friends. It does seem assholish to me. The fact that someone said it's explicitly kind of a hit and run in poker, so this is like a known phenomenon. I am pretty set in where I'm leaning. Deadly Hostfrau writes, YTA, it's kind of rude to leave a friendly poker game after one hand where you won big. These are your friends. Play another hand or two, fold early, leave still up, but on good terms. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you got to feel the vibe. I'm not saying maybe stay the full 4 hours, but like, I don't. It's like what you wanted to win $20? Like, I don't know. What are you doing?
Yeah, I played poker actually not too long ago with a group of friends, and this one guy that doesn't usually play very often came in and firsthand just slid it all in. And I think that it was like a bravado thing. I think it was like a poor attempt at like trying to, overconfidently bluff your way out. He was called because, that's what you do if somebody's going all in on the first hand.
That's funny.
And of course he lost all that money. And I think we sort of did the opposite of we just sort of like let him keep some of that money as a pity. And I think that, the guy in this scenario sort of did the opposite. He should have just said, cause he took all his friends' money, right? I mean, I think he should have said, all right, look, I got lucky. Here's a few more chips. I'm going to stay on the game a couple more hands. Don't bet high. If you don't want to lose that money, don't risk it. And yeah, he could have had a friendly game that didn't result in his friends telling him that he's an asshole.
Well, yeah, and like I think it's also missing the purpose of a game, and there's different levels here. Like there's different levels with sports, I think, that are very obvious, right? It's like if you're out, playing a pickup basketball game, it's like no one's there to become a professional basketball player. Like you're there to play b-ball on a Saturday morning, and it's a good time, knowing that and kind of knowing that like this is less of really a competition and more of an activity that can bring us together and connect us in other ways is a much healthier attitude. And this sort of leaving the poker game is kind of the antithesis of that attitude. And I'm not saying there's no room for people to play things seriously, but I just don't think this was the vibe here. So it's like a classic read the room. I think we're all circling on the same verdict. Yeah. AITA for leaving a cash poker game after one hand. I think we're saying YTA.
Yep, you convinced me. YTA.
Yes, I would say I would use the word dick, but yes, if they're the same, then I would say A.
Guys, check out Mud. It's a really fun game, really interesting game. Great for hanging out with your friends and keeping it casual. As Jade said, you can sip a drink. You can check it out over at bit.ly/AITA Mud.
Awesome. I'm excited.
The campaign ends on November 2nd at midnight. So the midnight right before Election Day.
Timely.
So you're going to want to get in immediately. And there's some high-end perks that you're going to want to check out. You can get your own portrait in the game, actually immortalized forever on a card. And there are still some premium wooden boxes available for those who love beautiful things. But you're definitely going to want to go to that Kickstarter page right now because it is going to be over before you know it.
And Jade, this is true, right? We made a deal where I made some video content for you and I bought the perk 3 times where I get my face of the game. And so there will be 3 Danny Vegas in the final copy of Mud. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Though we're going to alter your appearance so much that you'll be unrecognizable even to yourself.
But I will be, you told me 3 different versions of myself. So it's going to be like, ye old Danny Vega and like.
Yeah. So I guess that's an incentive for your listeners. If you want to see 3 versions of Danny Vega in this game, pick it up. This is your only chance. This probably will never happen again.
Okay, now I need to get myself in the game as well.
Hey, what is it?
Just
$100
to balance it out.
$100 to get her in the game, Jade?
Yeah, 125. And you're in the game.
Right.
And you get a copy of the game. So
cool.
I would definitely do that right now.
Well, Jade,
Cool.
Thank you so much for joining us. Listeners, again, that link is bit.ly/AITA Mud. All right, we're back with Chemda for our listener submission AITA for dumping a picky eater. I, F25, met this guy, M31, on Tinder. We started chatting and really hit it off. We have a similar sense of humor, quickly discovered a few common interests, and overall, just got along well. After chatting for about a week, we went on our first date. I live somewhere with very low COVID numbers and little to no restrictions. The date was at a steakhouse. My date ordered a steak. Well done. First red flag and fries. The waiter informed him it also comes with a side of seasonal vegetables, and he asked for them not to be added. He actually told the waiter, put the veggies on my plate, which I thought was nice. Our food came out. My date cut into a steak and immediately waved the waiter over and asked for a steak to be sent back to the kitchen and cooked for another 10 to 15 minutes. Mind you, the steak was definitely well done, but apparently not well enough for him. I thought it was a touch dramatic, but the date continued and, well, it went well enough that we planned a second. I picked the next restaurant, a cool spot that a friend of mine is head chef at. The menu is essentially build your own charcuterie. Anyways, my date and I got our menus and he looked very puzzled. I made a few suggestions as I've eaten there before and he quickly turned them down. I asked if he had any dietary restrictions. He said no. I tried to explain the menu items to him. Nothing sounded good to him. He ultimately decided not to eat. I asked if he wanted to go somewhere else and he said no, that he'd just eat later, and he insisted that I order whatever I want. He just drank Coke. It was pretty awkward being the only one eating, but I did, and the food was amazing, as usual.
Kudos to the guy for actually eating. I like that. Yes.
We started chatting, and I had the urge to ask him what the deal was with the picky eating. What's the deal? His answer was basically, that's just how I am. I was raised on a meat and potatoes diet. So, intrigued, I began asking him about food he's never tried. And this is where it got crazy. He will not and never has eaten vegetables, cheese, anything even remotely spicy, seafood, steak with any pink in it, rice, pretty much any foreign cuisine, and many more.
What?
I totally understand that people have food that they don't like, but he refuses to even try simple things and basically lives off fast food burgers and chicken fingers. I consider myself a pretty adventurous eater. I'll try anything once, and that's a quality I like to share with my partner. After the date ended, I went home and sent him a text saying that I thought he was very nice and I enjoyed spending time with him, but I don't think it'll work out. He called me and asked what happened, if he did anything wrong, so I decided to be honest and tell him it was pretty much because he's such a picky eater. He scoffed and told me that was a pretty dumb reason to dump someone. I can see what he means and it probably shouldn't bother me, but it does. Anyways, he sent me a long message afterwards telling me how ridiculous I was for ending things over such a small thing, and I didn't reply, just blocked his number. A friend of mine is now telling me I was being mean. AITA.
How does this guy not have scurvy? He doesn't eat vegetables?
He's dying. This guy is dying.
Right?
This is an insane diet.
This guy writing in is my favorite person. Oh my God. He dodged a bullet. That's someone's response for saying, hey, I just told you the truth after I was trying to just say hey, this doesn't fit. You called me to ask what it is. I honestly told you and you deemed it a dumb reason. Okay. Then you got extra petty after that and want another response from me. If it's so dumb, then leave me alone.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think OP here has a totally valid objection. I think that her not wanting to date a picky eater is already enough, because let's face it here. Eating is a kind of a central activity. For me, as you know, Chemda, I'm a big Yelper. I like to have good food. I love to have great food. It's something you're going to do as a couple. Thank you. Yelp Elite 2017, 2018. Don't forget it. It's tattooed on my butt. And it's one of the prime pleasures of life, especially as a relationship, goes on and on. You're going to eat together. That's part of it. So I already think that's valid. On top of that, though, I could zoom out and also say there's a lot of alarming things about being this picky. I would say this shows an extremely low openness to an experience. I would find this extremely alarming. Let's be clear. This motherfucker has never had cheese.
That's nuts.
Well, I used to be a pickier eater, and I don't really care how people eat, but you could see that this is already affecting the relationship. If you're a picky eater, first of all, you have to come up with a bunch of restaurants that I would be cool with too, because you're on the shit end. This is your problem. So that's one. So if you're glucose free or vegan, you better have a list of restaurants. We live in New York, or wherever you live next to places that you're going to eat. Second, the date was ruined. I ate by
100%.
myself, which that's fine. Eat by, we have
super
to
weird.
Get away from the stigma where I can't feed myself because you decided you're not going to eat. But you guys had 2 experiences and both of them were food. Why aren't you coming up with another experience if this isn't, this is obviously like a big date thing. Why didn't you do anything else? Why don't you come up with something else interesting? And the answer is you're not an interesting person. And this is just one reflection of that. Thank you. You're dumb. Goodbye.
I think that's spot on.
Yeah.
And I think also the lack of foresight that this would be an issue or that this would come up also shows just a kind of a lack of insight about how the world works. It's like, so you let her pick the restaurant and then you're just going to not
look up
eat
the
there.
menu? Who does that?
Like, what are you doing?
That's madness.
Like, if you're an insanely picky person, you got to be proactive, and apparently he hasn't internalized that. So it also kind of shows like he has an attitude of like, well, whatever happens, happens.
Why did mommy take me to this restaurant when I wanted to go to McDonald's? Mom only lets me have McDonald's with a shut up. You have a problem where you can eat only in one restaurant per a mile? Tell me that. And then you're going to be a babe. No, I'm not going to eat anything. Find something. There's not one thing on this entire menu. A plain chicken. There's too many vegetables on here for you. Don't order the vegetables. Put it on my plate. I love that.
Yeah, and he doesn't eat foreign cuisine. I mean, that's like borderline xenophobic, dude. Everyone likes Chinese food.
What does this guy
dog.
do? Like, just every date has to be at Applebee's? That's a bleak existence.
That's bleak. Cassandra G writes, no assholes here. You guys just did not work out. LEP writes, NTA, you're allowed to stop dating someone if you feel like your personalities don't mix, period. It doesn't matter if he thinks it's a stupid reason to stop seeing each other. Ashley H, here we go. Some dissent. YTA. What if he dumped you because you liked all kinds of weird stuff that he doesn't like? He was completely tolerant and respectful of the place you picked to eat, even though he didn't like it. You didn't even get to know him well enough to know if it could have worked out because you were focused on his steak.
Whatever. I don't want someone to tolerate my existence. What redeeming quality did he have? He was able to hold a conversation, over dinner that we could never have together? True. You should have cooked. Invite me over. You could. You should have picked the restaurant. You should have come up with something to do afterwards. You should have had a nearby restaurant where you could pick something up. You should have created a picnic and brought me the picnic, and I would have been fine with it. You had nothing to say but, no, I don't eat that. I don't want it. Okay, would you like an alternative? No, I'm just not gonna eat. I don't want to eat. We're human beings. You can't not eat. You're gonna eat later, so now you're gonna eat separately. I'm gonna eat separately. You didn't come up with something else to do, but I should date you.
I mean, I also feel like this is the point of dating in the beginning, is to like be picky and weed these types of people out.
Exactly. And it's also isn't a big part of dating.
It's not just like, how long can I tolerate your quirks?
It's
like,
both sides. You're weeding. You're both weeding on one side, and on the other hand, you're also putting on the best show. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
First date, Danny,
dance.
I am putting it on, baby. I'm wearing my nice threads. I'm shining my shoe. I'm really getting out there.
The one shoe.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I just got one shoe. I alternate sides. She'll never know. Lindsay M, sounds like you guys weren't compatible. NAH and NTA. It could have been no assholes here if he didn't get defensive and send you that long message. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem with him calling. I actually think that's a good thing that he called and sought to understand, but it was then that he said it was ridiculous instead of taking a second, checking himself before he wrecked himself and being like, all right, I get it. It turned you off. You weren't into it, and I'm going to learn from this and grow. He did not grow. He just dismissed it.
Like the baby that he is. Or he doesn't have to be even that grown up about it. He could be like, wow, that's a bummer. Okay, bye.
Yeah, it doesn't have to like devolve into a personal attack.
Yeah.
So I think we agree on this one. AITA for dumping a picky eater. That's a big fat, not the asshole, and he is.
Yes.
Also, a steak in addition 10 minutes. I tried to be on your side because eat steak however you want, but oh boy.
But also like a first date
you.
at a steakhouse, that's pretty aggressive.
Yeah, it is a little aggressive, but I think asking someone to recook something that is already sufficient on a first date, that's not the kind of show. I mean, to be fair, I went on a second date recently and they kept setting the plates down on our table. You know, it's COVID times. They set the plates down on our table and then they'd be like, oh, sorry, these aren't yours. They did it 3 times. And I go, hey, listen, I'm kind of a Karen. do you mind if I say something to the manager, because that's totally crazy that they're putting plates on tables. And she was like, go for it. You know, that's fine with me. And I did tell the manager that I thought that wasn't COVID safe, and it's ridiculous that if you put a plate down on a table, it should be for that table or it should be thrown in the trash. This is crazy.
What was the reaction?
Well, it was actually at first he was like, I'm so sorry. Let me make it up to you. You know, and I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I was not personally wronged by this, right? Like, I just saw other people's plates land on this table, and then I talked, you know, I was like, oh, look at this. That's not ours. And I'm like, that's my saliva flying in the air. and I'm like, you don't need to do nothing. I'm not mad. I hope you didn't put my plates down on another person's table, but like, you need to lock in and talk to your servers and make sure that doesn't happen.
What a great time to go out to eat. I hope you all are enjoying it.
There's nothing to do, Chemda, please. I have nothing and no one.
Yeah, I know. It's a pandemic.
So anyway, she was cool with it. So I guess it blew. I mean, I think you could be a Karen if you like feel it out, but like to then just be like, cook this another 15 minutes. That's just, what is that?
Yeah, I don't know what that is for steak, but I don't know. Eat it the way you like it. You're paying for it. The chef and the waiter go and bring the thing and cook the food. It's not. I don't think that's insulting. You know what I mean?
You wouldn't be turned off if a date did that?
Not to, like, if there was so many restrictions, but no, I don't know. I would be insulted by your lack of creativity and then calling me dumb. You know, eat food however you want to eat food. It's a bummer when you don't want to try stuff, but I've been there. I don't know. You're missing out. If we can have other adventures and, you know, you pack a snack and I don't have to be your mommy, whatever. Right.
Yeah, it was really his lack of proactiveness, or like, it's just really not understanding how picky he is. So it's a lack of self-awareness as well. It's like, you don't realize that like what you're doing is, you know, it's odd. And so you have to kind of like make up for it and be proactive about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. We just hit 40 patrons on Patreon, so we're now putting out weekly bonus episodes. Please check out Keith and the Girl. It's an amazing show. Chemda, anything you want to add?
Thank you. Yeah, check out Keith and the Girl on any podcast platform that you're listening to.
All right, guys. We'll see you next Monday morning.